Hey, 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 happy Friday. You are actually watching the Francyne Walker Show. Wow, has it been a minute? Like 4 years a minute. I'm
Wow.
so excited to have my girl on my first show of the relaunch. Call it a soft relaunch. Um, who we have today is my girl, Christie Taylor. She is my friend of 30 plus years.
Woo. Girl, come on,
Wow.
count those
So,
years. Count those years, those
baby,
decades.
wait a minute. Over what? How many?
Over 30. Over 30
Over
years,
30.
3 decades.
Over 30.
Mm.
So I'm excited for my girl. She is premiering her first film as a writer and director.
Come on.
And
Yay
while I
me.
could not be there like I wanted to be so badly, I said, let me at least contribute to the press junket she's currently on and interview her about her journey, um, how she went from radio girl to
Mm.
director, and everything in between. We are going to have an uncut and
And
unfiltered
unfiltered.
conversation, a little bit of kiki, a little bit of hoo hoo, ha ha, and just talk about how she is pursuing her dreams and realizing her dream as a director, who decided a long time ago radio, TV, and film. I won't give it away. I know the journey, but you don't know the journey. And I just simply want to be a part of the conversation to share her journey with you all, my friends, and just be inspired to pursue your own dreams. Without further ado, here's my girl, Christie Taylor. I'm going to let her share her bio. This is really quick and easy, and we're just going to flow. Hey, girl.
Hey, first of all, I'm glad that I have been a source of inspiration for the soft relaunch of the Francyne Walker Show. It is amazing how much time has passed,
Yes.
and I guess Christie Taylor, and in
Mm,
my film director era, I'm Christie B. Taylor, and so Christie Taylor has been my moniker for decades as a radio personality here in
mhm.
the Memphis area and in other markets, and to now, as you have known this decade from when we first met in my journey to Detroit back in the 1980s, early 90s.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that journey definitely saw at that time where I had left Oral Roberts University prematurely because I was around a lot of singers and musicians. And my journey creatively started with the singer. The dream, Broadway, was a music major, but at Oral Roberts University, as you know, I had switched my degree to radio, TV, and film. Back in the day, it was called communication.
Yes.
Mass communication. Now, if you say mass
Yes.
communication,
Yep.
it's a whole nother degree. But the focus was, even back then, around 85, 84, 85, was to basically do radio because I fell in love with radio. And then with the aspiration of also doing television and film. Now, the radio
Mhm.
part, we will cut to the early 1990s.
Sure.
After spending some time and hanging out, in Detroit around a lot of singers and musicians, I fell back into radio as a secretary, as you know, WJLB.
Yes. Strong
Come on,
songs.
strong song station. And in that clerical position, seeing the radio personalities going in and out of the studio, and I'm like, that's what I really want to do. After having been singing for a while and really realizing I didn't like the studio life, we were hanging out a lot of gospel musicians and singers who were in the studios day in and day out. And I
My goodness.
remember those years, Dearborn, Studio A, all the
Studio
things
A.
in Dearborn, Michigan, y'all. But
Yes.
really realizing that I didn't have the type of love and commitment that I needed to have for a life in music. And at
Mm.
some point, I decided that I wanted to really, at the end of the day, pursue radio as a
Mhm.
as a as an option to still be able to speak and share music. And ended up that journey led me back to Memphis, Tennessee. And with that being said, I ended up doing a really decades of gospel radio
Mhm. Mhm.
in
Mhm.
the Memphis market. Also did some in Birmingham and other places. But I really still held in my heart, and you notice, Francyne,
I
that
do.
I still wanted to do television and I still wanted to do film. Now, of course, my idea was to do it as a writer. because
Mhm.
to write TV shows, to write movies, because throughout my radio career, my downtime was spending Saturdays and Sundays watching matinees. That was
Yes.
how I decompressed. So I
Yes.
really was developing a solid love for cinema and a low key of unofficial movie buff and critic. But I was
Mm.
also didn't realize I was training myself, and it was in my radio career, as you know, that I met someone who had a story idea that they wanted to turn into a movie, and that led me to becoming a produced screenwriter. Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of that, that movie was actually I saw. Can we mention it?
Yes, we
Oh,
can.
okay.
You know something?
It's
Okay. Let's do this uncut, unfiltered. There is always a journey to all of this, and we're skipping.
yes.
We've been knowing each other for over 30 years, so we're
Yeah.
talking like in our early 20s. We are now
Yes.
graciously approaching the 60, and just really embracing all that life has um, afforded us as far as love and life lessons.
Yes.
And yes,
Yes.
we can definitely. And I have never really sung the praises of that first venture into film, um,
No.
for various reasons. But yes, now, honey,
Yeah.
at 5960, yes, honey,
Yeah.
I own it. I own all of it.
Yeah. So basically the movie was Insecure.
In hype and
NS
secure, I
before
always
Insecure,
before the movie. Yes, I always have to say in hype and secure the movie, not the TV show.
not the TV
Shout
show.
out to Issa Rae. Yeah, we supporting
Yes.
everybody black.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the movie was Insecure.
Mhm.
And I remember seeing it here. So that says a lot about the reach of your first
Mhm.
project.
Okay. Can we talk about that? Okay,
Yes.
so ladies and gentlemen,
I
I
saw it in
had
the theater, in the
I
movie
in a
theater.
movie theater in Detroit
Yes.
so I know I'm trying to just in the time that we have when I was in my radio career, and that was a solid 1999 to 2008, 2009.
Mm-hmm.
So in that decade, I was working here in Memphis market once I really got into my radio career. Once I came back from Detroit, worked for a station, it went belly up, and I was doing secretarial work. And the most creative thing I was doing, as you know, was typing letters and memos. But around 1999, I ended up back in radio. Shout out to Michael Adrian Davis, because I had met him years earlier at that first
Yes.
station, and we ended up at a church, Greater Community Temple Church of God in Christ. And he was sharing with me about this new gospel station, AM 990 The Light. I was like, I got a job and the checks don't bounce. So I would sometimes do voice work, and eventually a weekend position became available when another colleague who became a friend, Dwayne Benton, had left and went to LA the first time.
Oh,
So no one wanted to
Dwayne.
do, I know. And that was the
Oh,
first time he went. And that was around 1999. And I ended up doing Saturdays and Sundays because nobody else wanted to do it, get up early in the morning. So that's how I really got into radio. And by this time I'm in my 30s.
mm-hmm.
And the pathway to the film Insecure came with that first year. And as I say, I would go to the movies and do matinees Saturdays and Sundays as a way to decompress. Once I also ended up in the office. So I was doing a weekend gig. And then somebody also learned that I was a really, wonderful secretary, and ended up working in the sales department. And during the week, I would just talk about all the movies. After I would do my shows, I would go see movies. And Julius Lewis of Heritage Entertainment, he has started, I think that was when he was starting his promotion career, promoting plays and blues shows.
Sure.
And he heard me one day when he was coming in to talk to, I guess, one of the salespeople, or to Bruce Demps, who I think was, he came in to talk to somebody about promoting one of his shows. And he heard me talking about movies, and he was like, I wrote a movie. And I was like, you did? And he said, could you read it for me? And when I read it, because I had some classes when I was in school decades earlier, I read it. And I was like, did you? And went over the weekend, instead of going to the movies, I read his script. And I came back that following week, and he was like, hey, what did you think? I said, did you write this for the stage? Meaning, did you write it for theater? And he had originally written it for theater. And he said, well, and I told him the difference in the language, the difference in the writing, the difference in, the action and the dialogue and the character development. And he said, well, can you help me turn it into a movie? And we did. So that would have been a 2000 start. And over several years, we, between our growing businesses and career, we were working on Insecure. I was living downtown Memphis. So for those who ever watched the movie, there's a lot of downtown Memphis, because that was my life. And I was writing about the trolley rides, and I was writing about the carriage rides. I was writing about, walking on Bill Street, booed up, all that kind of stuff, just the downtown Memphis living. So when the movie actually came together, because it took time, because it was an independent film, instead of selling the script, when a lot of Black entertainers started getting into the film world in the 90s, early 2000s, like Master P and Ice Cube, he said, well, I can do the same thing. So he opted to produce it independently. Mm-hmm. And that led to Kim Fields. Most people don't know, but you know, Kim Fields was actually on to direct it initially. And then I think the year that we actually shot it, I think she had gotten married or had a child. And so another director ended up taking over the helm, and we shot it in 2008. Mm-hmm. And when it came out in 2010, it really was the spark that I needed to reassess my life, and you already know, that I had been saying that either in 2007, before we shot it in 2008, I was like, either I need to go to another market, or I need to go into television and film and really be committed to it as a writer. Because I have been writing for several years, and the movie was done on my end. It just hadn't been produced. Yeah. So when 2008 hit, I actually went to Atlanta. There was a radio job opportunity that fizzled out, but at the same time that was fizzling, then the movie came together. So I took it as a divine sign that God wanted me to pursue this film writing path. And I went back to Oral Roberts University the following year, ORU, finished my degree in drama, TV, and film performance. And then around 2011-12, I started working on a master's in professional screenwriting, which has led us even to this coffee shop, because the coffee shop was one of the scripts that I wrote while in my master's program.
That's great to hear. Let me interject here for anybody that is watching now or will watch the replay. Yes, hint, hint. Because this is a nugget that we all need to be reminded of. And this is what came to me as I was listening to your story that I know, but it's like, go with your gut. That was always something that you would say. And I remember the conversation, because we would talk all the time when she was at the before the one. Remember, it was the $300 and $400 phone bills before the one price plan, baby, honey, child. And I remember her saying,
"Yeah,
I'm done."
Yeah,
and
it was a
somebody might be hearing that.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm done with this. Because you got to finish something to begin something. Correct. And you said, I'm done. And I remember that was probably about the time when I left Blue Cross as well. Correct. But it was that moment, that defining moment for you, when the Atlanta thing didn't work out for whatever the reason. Well, it wasn't for you.
Correct.
Because that wasn't part of your path in directing you. So it's like, and other things. And then you're looking around at the radio station and it ain't so cute no more. It's like, this ain't fun. And you said, I'm done. And I think it's important for anybody that is feeling that or hearing that, because you get a feeling, you feel it, and you try and press it down. You might do like me and eat or whatever.
We sometimes find comfort in food or booze or people. Yeah.
And we push it to the side, and then it comes back and it gnaws at you. And it's like, even today, if it's something that you are dreaming about and it won't let you go, and you feel like it's too late.
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? It's too late.
Francyne, that story, even though it was 2008, 2009, when I went back to ORU.
Yes.
In 2011, I ended up, starting top of 2012, starting my master's, and ended up around, I think the following year or later that year in LA.
Yeah.
that I circled back around by 2014, 2015 and
Yeah.
found myself back in Memphis, back on the radio. So I was kind of shell shocked, really. Like, what
Mhm.
happened to my TV and film writing dreams? This, all in. I had met, I had gone to a screening, and Ava DuVernay was there with one of her first Middle of Nowhere. And I would go to these different
Yes.
events, and I was like, I am in the flow. And then
Yes.
due to
And you
family,
were, but
and
you were in
I
the
was
flow.
in the flow. I was in the flow.
Yeah.
And so when the flow led me back to Memphis, kind of like even something that's happening right now, I was like, what just happened? Like,
Yep.
and I found myself back in radio on WRBO. But I will say, even as you say, when that gnawing happens, because it came again around 2019, I felt that after 4 or 5 years on radio again.
Yeah.
But I will say, I felt that urge to leave again, which is when I ended up, the contract ended, and I started, Christie Taylor Consulting. But throughout that time, and I know you can attest to this, even when you're not working on your dream, you're working on your dream.
I think that is so important to note. And it's so funny how God will, as a journalist, I never want to make the story about me, but just as a point of relational dynamic or relativity, as far as even at my job that I've taken some time away from, there was someone didn't know me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, someone I work with, just met, and she said to me, "You're an artist." I said, "Well, I have a son who's an artist." She said, No. You're an artist. Something. I said, "Well, I had a show and da 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 da." I'm trying to justify the light that she saw, right? And she says, "Yeah, and I've got this space that I'm trying to get set up so that you can start doing your show, in this space." And I was sharing that with my son, and he says, "Well, Mom, when people see things about you," and I think I shared this in a little reel or so, one of my free encouragements, when people see things about you and they speak to it, they're not afraid. They don't, don't want to tell you. He said, you have to listen, because that's a gem that they're giving you. And so, as much as I wanted to be in Memphis this week, the numbers didn't line up. And it's like, and I'm driving. This came, what day did I call you? Was it Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday?
Yes.
I called and I said, "Okay, so I'm going to interview you because I saw you were doing your project." And it's like, and in this time, in this climate that we live in, politically, the climate that we live in, I'm looking around and it's like, and I'm not one to.
This is very reminiscent of 2020 when you started your show, and I also lend my voice to the choir, that there is a need for light in dark places, even within the realm of journalism and the arts and in the creative arts.
And let me add, this was you talk about this, and we're going to come back to the coffee shop because this is all relative.
No, this is hey, uncut, unfiltered, baby. No, we on the right path.
I remember when I was at Blue Cross and working on my bachelor's, and everybody kept saying, and I remember one of my instructors saying, "So do you want to do the news or do you want to do TV?" And I was just like, I could never really not separate myself from journalism, because that was my degree that I started 20 years and then finished 20 years later, or whatever it was. And I just knew, okay, I want to make an impact. I don't want to just tell stories that bleed or lead, whatever bleeds leads, or whatever that thing calls. And that's what they used to say when I was an intern at Channel 7, working full time and going to school full time. And I was like, God, but if it bleeds and that leads, how are people empowered? And, I get it, because we're competing with the other stations as they said on the different thing. What are they running? What are they running? It's like we got to run the same thing, but from a different reporter.
Yeah.
But I just remember in 2018, no, I said, oh, I want to host, write, and produce. That's what it was. I want to host, write, and produce, and eventually have producers. so
Always.
Exactly. But it started with the show. It's like, I want to host, write, and produce my own show. And I think it just was born out of watching the Oprahs and watching, I can go all the way back to the Sally Jesse Raphaels and the Jenny Jones and the Phil Donahues.
But did you, and without even knowing, within 2 to 3 years, there would be a lot of people writing, hosting, and producing their own shows, to the point in 2025, legacy media has a run for their money for digital media.
And so here we are, me trying to be a friend and
a friend indeed.
A friend indeed. And that's what I've been doing. It's like really being cognizant of showing up, for my friends in ways. It's like, how do they want to be loved? That's how you show up. And not the way you want to be loved. How do they need love? And so that's showing beautiful. Up for my friends all this week. And it's like, we had the conversation, I think it was Monday, and it was like, now mind you, I hadn't been on StreamYard, still had the some of my overlays and some of the media that I had uploaded, but I was just like, okay, but here we are. It's like I'm watching other people around me, and I'm thinking, I'm one of those people. When I said, oh, I could do that, I'm gonna do it. I'm not someone that's like, oh, I can do it and never attempt to. Because you have people that think it looks that looks easy until they try or never try. They just say it looks easy.
That's right.
Here we are today. I think it is so important again to realize that it's not too late.
It's not too late. And I'm glad you said that because we're unabashedly and unashamedly women of a certain age, super, super grateful that we've made it. And still dreaming and still aspiring and still wanting to make impact. And it's not too late because that definitely is a trademark for who I am.
Yeah.
That in spite of the detours, I'm not even going to say the detours anymore.
It seems like a detour to you,
correct? Because even
looking down, it's like, oh, she gonna get there. You know what I mean?
It's interesting you said that because one of my mom's dear church lady friends, I'll call her that, and I was sharing with her recently because she reached out to me unexpectedly, and she didn't know that I was now in this space, moving into writing TV and film and creative projects for clients, and even myself. Because Christie Taylor Consulting, that I am a creative strategist. I do assist people like during that time.
Oh, I love that creative strategist.
Yeah, that's creative strategist. Because what I was saying is like you can work on your dream even when you're not working on your dream.
Yes.
Because even when I came back and ended up back in radio, it was during my 103.5 WRBO years that I had the script polishers on and popping, assisting other people with their creative projects, whether it was a TV show, a stage play, a web series. People would come to me for my expertise. I was also providing creative strategy as far as how to create, nonprofits, expand them within this space, or establishing production companies, because I had to find a way, even though I was back in Memphis and, being close to my mama, and back in radio, how could I use and share and give what I had just learned and invested in myself over several years? So when 2019 came, girl, and God was like, hey, okay, exiting radio again in this format, because of course, I am co-managing with Tina Tilton, 2 FM radio stations, bumping 96.3 FM in Memphis, as well as right on radio, 87.7 FM. But I was determined to really find ways to start doing my own creative stuff. So when last year, of course, I helped so many people, like, well, let me get more involved. I had a client who I assisted and I helped write his TV pilot. So that's a creative outlet. A friend / client who I adapted one of her screenplays, Sheila E. Bell, and she was just doing some recently for the last couple of weeks, trying to elevate that so that with a competition and being voted on. So hopefully she wins, because that screenplay, what it got to do with it, definitely needs to see the light of day and see the screen. So when last year, as you know, Angela reached out to me, because she had just wrapped up Fifth Step, and I had served in some capacity as a script consultant on that when they were developing that. And I also did the moderating at the last screening last April. But when she came back this time last year and was like, hey, I need another script. Do you have any scripts you'd be interested in, letting the, Memphis movie production apprenticeship use? And I was like, sure, send her some, because all my friends, y'all know I got a laptop full of short films, feature films, stage plays. And I sent some over. And the coffee shop is the one that she took. She selected. But Francyne, this is what changed everything. After, because I'm accustomed, and I've had other short films produced, and you all can check out one that's on my YouTube channel, Christie Taylor Online, called Smile. That was produced and directed by Malco Rose in New York, along with starring Janine Farmer, who's originally from Memphis and now lives in New York. Also, Aisha Razan, she did a short film of mine called Hunting Season. So I was like, okay, and of course I had co-written Insecure. So I have been a collaborator. When she said, after she got the coffee shop, she said, I really like this one. And then she asked, do you want to direct? I paused. There was no hesitation. There was no fear, but it was like, I hadn't thought about it. I hadn't really fostered and stoked the fire of that dream in such a long time, Francyne. When you're talking about it's never too late, that sometimes you can get so, I'm not going to say complacent, because I was still working on my dream, even while working on my dream, by supporting others, by still being in the craft, still writing, still co-producing. I had co-produced even the TV pilot last year with Rika Siobhan, who helmed my client's film, Hip Hop Farmer. But when she said, do I want to direct? I knew within the scope of the film industry, because film is a director's medium, that she was inviting me to elevate to a new level within the film space. And I said, yes.
So you were ready for it though, right? Because
I was ready, but not thinking about, I need to start directing. I was just writing scripts and helping other people do their stuff, and not thinking, let me also within the film space, because directing is the top of the heap within that space. Showrunners are the top in the TV space. So not thinking I should even pursue that. And as we're talking, I think there's for those who are of a certain age, if you are hitting your 40s, 50s, 60s, and certain dreams have not materialized like you possibly had previously envisioned, I'm just thinking in this moment is that we can come to a place where we resign and we modify the dream. And I had, when she asked that question, because it wasn't even something I had been mentally pursuing or like trying to navigate toward, I realized when I said yes, that I had resigned to only one facet of the dream and had modified the dream. And I had decades of training, education, expertise, had been helping other people do the thing, but I had not allowed myself to, and not from a place of, if I put I'm a go-getter, I'm a quietly ambitious woman. So it's not like I can't do it. It's just that I was like, I'm getting older and I can still find a space in this, I can still enjoy and have fun, like even with radio, I'm helping Tina with her stations. I'm still having fun with radio. I'm helping other people with their films and projects. So I'm still having fun in the space. So I had just resigned to myself to the sideline as a cheerleader, as a coach, as a consultant, helping other people. And I find a lot of joy in that. It does it's like a good teacher. I like seeing when students get they grade and they smiling because they from ear to ear because they did it.
Yeah.
But also realizing that the master teacher, God within me, was like, and you still have stories to tell and to write and to direct yourself and to produce.
So while you thought you were resigning, you were
From
really aligning, essentially.
Come on now. Come on. While you were
It's the
resigning.
writer in me.
Come on. That's right.
You were aligning.
I was aligning.
Realigning.
I was realigning. Yeah.
And you were open and you had sown.
Yeah.
So this was the reaping. And I think,
oh my God, yes.
That's really the beauty and the sovereignty.
Because so many people who have joined me in this effort are people over the last 5 years of me returning back to Memphis who were willing to be like, yes, we will help you. Some of them have done amazing work and they're like, I'll help her do this. I mean, way below their station in life, they wanted to help me cross this threshold. And I'm eternally grateful because I was providing service and commitment and support to others from the purest place that I knew how. So when the opportunity came, they were like, oh yeah, we're finna help Christie Taylor, baby. And the word is, as you know, some people say, when I say, well, yeah, I'm finna direct, about time. Like about time. Like he's finally here. You should have been, like we saw it in you. You've been helping other people do it. It's not like you don't have the skill set. It was just that I didn't make it a priority. And thank God for Angela Green, who she'll talk about how many times I've supported. And she even said on the interview last night that, they were like, did you think with her, this is her first time directing? She said, no, because Christie, no, I knew she could do it because of all the things I've done.
And shout out to Angela, because she is definitely, I know, just from a personal space, as your friend, how integral she has been to this journey and just giving you the space creatively, creatively to flow. So let's segue into the premiere and what that, when is the premiere?
Okay. So the coffee shop premiere is a combination from a shooting last November, and the way that she has it is she selects a film in the spring, we shoot it in the fall, and then we release it in the spring. So May the 2nd, this Sunday, I said 2nd. No, today is May 2nd. Okay, let me do this.
Today's the 2nd. It's the 4th.
Yes. So Sunday, May the 4th of 2025 at 4 p.m. at Malco Cordova Cinema here in Greater Memphis. We are going to be doing the live event, the in-person screening, the world premiere. It's going to kick off at 4:00 with a media event. So a party, a celebration.
Nice.
Around 5 or 5:30. That's when we'll dance our way into and mix and mingle in the theater, the main theater, and allow the world to see this story that just speaks to a lot of who I am, the coffee shop, following a character, Kendra, who's new to Memphis, very intelligent in the tech world, but she's in her shell, and a friend of hers who she's met here in Memphis brings her out by giving her a 30-day dare challenge. And so the movie is focused on her last dare, which leads her to make the choice if she's going to go through with introducing herself to someone she's been watching at the coffee shop. And the question is does she do it? And if she does, what happens? If she doesn't, what happens? I love the tagline on the poster that says, every dare brings us closer.
Yes.
And to me, life is full of dares that we have the opportunity to take to bring us closer to other amazing opportunities, connections. And we'll see what happens. And so this Sunday,
How long is the film?
It's a 30-minute, right around 26 minutes.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice one.
It's a true short. It started off probably like 12 minutes, and I kept adding characters and naming them. So so it ended up being close to 30 minutes. And I'm really excited to see how people respond to my story and the way I've directed it, because it's one thing to write a story. Insecure, people have seen that. Smile, other things that I've done and helped and worked with. But to now see how my storytelling as a director comes across. I had fun. That was something I said last night in the interview. I had fun. They were talking about the main actors, Jordan Danielle, Ronell Roth Sr., and Nakia Mabry. They were on an interview last night, and they were talking about how they would laugh, how I was just so bubbly and laughing and because I was like, and they were like, they were trying to understand who I was in the context. Because most people know me from radio and whatever their images of that. But I said, y'all don't understand. I was having fun. And they were like, whoa, that hits differently from a person who has been well accomplished in one thing. That I said, I found something to have fun with again. And I want to have more fun through more storytelling. I definitely, being an actor trained as well, and also a great storyteller, for years, having that proven, but to be able to help shape the performance of the actors, that was really, really fun. And I got to give a shout out to those who supported me in a big way. That would be Anwar Jameson, Dr. Anwar Jameson, from the University of Memphis, a very accomplished filmmaker in his own right, willing to be my assistant director, and him and my director of photography, John Hamilton, also serving as editor. Those two, having so much very, very staunch experience, gave me the freedom, along with other cast and crew, to play, because I didn't have to worry about a lot of the technical stuff. Angela Green and Margaret Hatter, being co-producers on this, definitely had a high level of professionalism, because this is part of their On Location Memphis movie production apprenticeship program. So it's important to be able to give real world experiences, even on a micro set like we had. But it gave me so much freedom. So it has set the bar pretty high for me as I move forward with the type of team you have to put together, the type of people you want to work with, the audition process, the grooming process, the development process, everything. I've really, really enjoyed it. So those who are in Memphis, in the Shelby County, tri-state area, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, West Tennessee, come to Malco Cordova Cinema, 4:00 for the media event. And then we're going to, following the media event and party, we're going to then kick off the screening, followed by a Q&A hosted by my girl, Tina Tilton. She's going to be moderating the Q&A.
Nice.
Now, I got to tell you, Francyne, and this is an exclusive. So let me say that again. And if you are in the tri-state area, that's West Tennessee, Northern Mississippi, and Western Arkansas, go to onlocationmemphis.org right now. That's onlocationmemphis.org to purchase your tickets. I've heard that we are about to sell out. So if you love Christie Taylor, if you say, I like listening to her from the radio, whether I was from 990 Hallelujah V101 or 103.5, or you love the movie Insecure, or you just like when I be posting nice stuff on Facebook, go to onlocationmemphis.org. That's onlocationmemphis.org to buy your ticket today, because yes, we are looking for a sold out crowd now,
and it's coming. Yes.
All right. So I will tell you this, Francyne, and this is an exclusive.
Okay.
If you are not in Memphis, if you are not in the tri-state area, like my girl Francine Walker, all the way in the Motor City, or if you are one of my friends that's in Texas or Cali, or one of my friends that's in Switzerland and France, or one of my friends that's on the mother continent, on the continent, I want you to know that you all too can now share with me in this experience.
Oh, look at God. Just for me.
Yes, just for you. Exactly. And what happened is Angela Green, is part of this process through On Location Memphis and the Memphis movie production. She's been looking for ways to make sure that the work that we're doing in Memphis can be shared with our family and friends around the country and around the world. Yeah. And there's two things that she's done. One is on the night of, which is going to be Sunday, on Sunday probably around 6 or 7. You all would be able to go to onlocationmemphis.org. That's onlocationmemphis.org to rent the movie. So I'm going to encourage you all to do a watch party wherever you are. Get your family and friends together, do a watch party, watch the coffee shop in the comfort of your home, or wherever you may be on the south of France, and just check out the coffee shop. So that's going to be Sunday. That's going to be Sunday evening around the time that we're kicking things off after the screening, around 6 or 7. I think she said it's going to go live. You can go to On Location. That's Central Standard Time. So for my East Coasters, that's going to be around 7 or 8 o'clock your time.
Okay.
Yeah, so Central Standard Time is going to go live on onlocationmemphis.org. You will be able to rent the coffee shop.
I know you have a hard stop because you're going to your next
interview. I know. I'm on a press junket, y'all.
Your next stop on the press junket. But I do want to emphasize also something that we talked about, even in our uncut and unfiltered conversation. We got to handle business. And make that money, honey.
Make that money, honey. Yes.
Yeah. You are also offering for those who have a story and those who, have a story to tell and want to tell it by way of film. You are offering your expertise by way of
a screenwriting intensive. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, partnering with Angela Green and On Location Memphis, because of the impact that we're making through the Memphis movie production and the love that we're receiving from the coffee shop, we are extending on the following Saturday, which is going to be Saturday, May the 10th. If you are in the tri-state area, once again, northern Mississippi, West Tennessee, and also Arkansas, we are going to be hosting a class. We got about 20 seats for 20. And I understand we are already halfway full, if not almost over full. So for those who would like to be a part of, we call it Write It Short, the screenwriting intensive. It's going to be a very intense writing lab and lecture where I'm going to literally teach you how to write a short film that the Memphis movie production will consider producing at no cost to you.
Wow. Now that is an awesome opportunity.
So the way that you're going to do this, you're going to go once again to onlocationmemphis.org to sign up and register and secure your seat for the Write It Short Screenwriting Intensive. That's going to be happening on Saturday on May the 10th. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, some have already said, hey, I'm out of the country. Are you all going to do it when I get back? Yes. Eleanor Peters. And I was like, hey, and of course, if there's a demand, we will definitely do a follow-up. But just for now, we're launching it on next Saturday. That's going to be an opportunity. And there is a possibility, because she said there are some people out of town who are also interested, that they may end up being a virtual version. But right now, we're doing a one and done on Saturday, May the 10th. On Location Memphis is sponsoring this. It is the Write It Short Screenwriting Intensive, and it includes a lot of great things. When you go to the website, you'll see that it includes your membership with the Auteur Club. It gives you an opportunity to literally walk away with a screenplay that you can complete and submit for consideration, because I will be teaching you how to write for production.
And plus, it puts you in the environment with like-minded people that encourages you to push forward. That's so important. So you're connecting, you're aligning to make your own story a reality. Especially, again, I cannot ignore the climate we're in. It is so important the way things are trying to, the evil forces are trying to erase everything that we have done.
Excellence. Correct.
And, experienced, and, just as a movie buff, a fellow movie buff.
Yes. Brand flicks,
baby. I can't imagine not ever seeing movies. I mean, I've been a movie buff. When I think about it, it's like, those core memories with my dad on Saturdays and Sundays, watching those, watching them. I won't even say the names because nobody will know, but it's like on Sundays, Bill Kennedy, movies with Bill Kennedy, and on Saturdays, Sir Grace Ghastly, the campy horror films. But realizing that the arts,
It's
I just want to say
imperative.
we're the blueprint. And so
Yes, we are the blueprint. And I'm glad you're saying that, because two
no,
things you've spoken to is that the power of storytelling, whether it's through journalism or it's through radio, whether it's through television, whether it's through film, it is so imperative that we become master storytellers of our own stories.
yes,
And the power of the griot has to continue on in the mediums that we have, whether you're putting content online through social media. Make sure it's meaningful, make sure that it is authentic, make
yes,
sure it's something that is going to be impactful and transformative in a positive way. So I
yes.
definitely want, for those who say, I have a story to tell, I will teach you how to write it in a screenplay format that you can tell on screen. And I'm excited about that.
Me
Can I tell you something real quick?
too.
Okay, uncut and unfiltered. Girl, I'm just thinking about the many times that I have spent a lot of money at Malco throughout this city over the decades while living in Memphis. Malco is a regionally owned, family-owned theater chain here in Memphis. And it kind of came to me, I think this morning as I was journaling, that it's like, you know what? I'm about to have a short film screened at a Malco, one of the many Malcos that I have I have spent a lot of money at Malco, and to know now that my movie is touching the same screen that I have paid dollars for to see other people's works and stories told, including Ryan Coogler's Sinners, most recently. But it's like now something that I imagined, something that I penned, and something that life was breathed into by amazing performers are going to share the same type of cinematic experience. And I'm really hoping and praying that people come away with something that touches them and inspires them to tell their stories and to live their dreams. So thank you for being my friend. And yes, you know,
so I get to be there.
Hold on. Yes, you get to be there. But wait. Y'all, I'm a little scared though, because she does love movies. Unfiltered and uncut, baby. And she does critique movies. Like she really is a media movie critic. Like she really needs to join the association, like, because there is one. Okay.
Oh, you know
and
what?
So when she watches my movie via rental, I know she might do a Fran flick, hopefully.
Oh, it's already approved. It's already approved. Listen, we already know it's anything. Listen, I love Tyler Perry, and Lord knows when I meet him, he gonna be like, "Yeah, you ain't like my stuff." You know, no, I did. I need more dialogue. I need the dialogue to connect. But listen,
it's already okay, because she will watch movies, ladies and gentlemen, and TV shows, and then she will post a review with her thousands of family, and will say if it's fan flicks approved.
Fran flicks, baby, approved.
Fan flicks approved.
But I love it. I love the fact that you, girl, I already know. You know, it's, but you also,
I have not shown her anything. I have deliberately not shown her. I didn't send her the script while I was in production. I did not do any of that. I literally am going to have to see if my Siskel and Ebert friend gives me 2 thumbs up. I want the Rotten Tomato 100 critic score that Ryan Coogler got from my friend Francyne and Walker. That's all I'm saying. But if she does not,
I'm sure it's good. Listen, I look as we are
wait. But if by chance you see something that's not up to par, don't post that online. Call me with that.
Girl, you know I would never do that. I would never do that. Absolutely not. First of all, we, you know, this is the bigger story. While we're sharing a story that came from her, the bigger story, and we'll see it manifested on screen after all this work that has been put into it, not just in November, but from the beginning, you know, like before Insecure, before Are You Going Back, and before I'm Done, and, you know, all that time and all the weekends when you and your boy would go to the movies and stuff. Before that, It's a story, the bigger story I love to always share. And that's as I'm moving forward and like, gosh, we're navigating because I said I'm taking up space, but I'm going to
Yes.
be strategic and effective in taking up space because some people are just taking up space and it's just air. It's just toxic air. And so the bigger story, I want people to come away. Yes, stream with me on Sunday.
Yes.
Sign up, get the streaming next Sunday, this coming Sunday, but also continue and remember to be inspired. Never compare, just get inspired. You don't know the journey people take. You just see the finished product, but be inspired by Christie's overall story and then be inspired by the movie itself to dare yourself to dream. The tagline is a dare moves you closer.
Yes, to your dream.
Watch this, replay this, share. You know how they say, like, share, and follow. That's the mantra. Like, share, and follow. Dare to dream. And I think this is so pivotal and so in God's sovereignty that I would choose to come back into this space and share a story of my friend of 30 plus years.
Thank you. She keeps saying that 30 plus years now. Some of these young men think I'm only 30 something. So you can't keep telling them.
Well, we knew each other in kindergarten.
Baby. Okay, that's what it is. We knew each other in
kindergarten co-op,
That's right.
Because I saw you threw that number out for me. But you know what it's like as when you hear someone say from waiting to accept, and I still look good.
And I still thank God for
be inspired not only by the story on film, but the story of the writer and director. The director. Get comfortable saying that.
I'm a movie director.
I am a movie director. But be inspired by that. I never want anyone to look at anyone's life and think it's over for me. You know how people like to say, especially patriarchy is, and I'm not gonna get on my box long. Patriarchy likes to age women and discard women and tell us we've hit a wall. It's like, baby, if I hit a wall, I'm gonna just make a turn. If I'm on the wall and I hit a wall, I'm gonna turn off the wall because I'm never going to be defeated by somebody else's definition and determination of who and what I can do. So that's the story I need you all to see and feel and be inspired and dare yourself again to dream. Thank you so much, girl.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Tell me it again. Online.
Okay, online, you can go to onlocationmemphis.org. Yes. That's onlocationmemphis.org. You'll learn about the organization. If you're in the region, if you're in the tri-state area in Shelby County, you can purchase your tickets to attend on Sunday, May the 4th, 4:00 kicks off the main event and the party, then the screening. But if you're outside of the region, hey, stream us online. You'll get that information as well at onlocationmemphis.org.
All right, girl.
Yes,
hey guys, we ran a little longer than we had originally planned, but because it's uncut and unfiltered, we covered everything we needed to. And if you stay to the end, and if you didn't, but you tuned in to my very first show 2025, because we gonna roll with it. Thank you for the love. I see the hearts. And I appreciate everyone for tuning in to share. Please support my girl in the Memphis tri-state area, I think she said, and online as a streamer like me, because you know me, I'm gonna definitely tune in and already assume and know that it's
Francyne approved.
All right, girl. Talk to you. Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.